My name is Mia Thompson. I'm 19 years old from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm a freshman at community college, trying to survive on scholarships and a late-night diner job. If you asked anyone about me, they'd probably say I'm too forgiving, too quiet, too soft. And maybe that's true, because being soft, being forgiving, almost destroyed me, but it also became the reason my stepfather lost everything he thought he controlled. This is my confession, and I'm finally ready to speak. The night it happened, I was wearing a pale blue dress. It wasn't expensive. I'd saved tips from the diner for months just to buy it. It was supposed to be a night of celebration, my senior prom. A night where, just for once, I could feel like I wasn't the poor girl or the quiet one, but instead, it turned into the moment that broke me, because my stepfather Rick Dalton grabbed me by the arm so hard my skin bruised under his grip. He shoved me back against the wall, his face twisted with rage, and hissed through clenched teeth, "Do you think you're somebody tonight, Mia? Huh? Walking around in that cheap little dress, thinking you belong with those other kids? You're not fooling anyone. You're nothing but trash. Trash just like your mother. And the sooner you accept that, the easier your life will be." His spit hit my cheek. His voice was low but sharp enough to slice through bone. I whispered, trembling, "Please, let me go, Rick. I didn't do anything wrong. I just wanted one night to feel normal." He laughed. Not the kind of laugh you hear when someone's amused. No, this one was ugly, harsh, cruel. Normal? You'll never be normal. You think a cheap dress and a little makeup make you different? Look at you. Pathetic. You're not worth the dirt on my boots. And don't you dare talk back to me again, or I'll give you something to cry about." And then he hit me hard. The sound of it echoed in the hallway, louder than the music playing from the living room, but nobody came. Nobody helped. I slid down the wall, clutching my cheek, the tears mixing with the cheap powder I had brushed on my skin. I wanted to scream, but the weight of his words held my throat closed. That was the night I realized, if I didn't take control, Rick would bury me alive, and he never saw my secret coming. He never saw the revenge I had been quietly building. Stories like mine are real. And if you want to hear more, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because the next story, pause, you won't want to miss it. And now, I want to ask you something. Which state are you watching this from? Are you in Texas, California, New York, Florida, or maybe somewhere else across the US? Drop your state in the comments. I'll be reading. I wasn't always this broken. I used to believe in family, in love, in second chances. My mom raised me mostly alone after my dad left when I was 9. She worked at a local clinic, double shifts, always tired but always smiling at me when she came home. She deserved better. Then Rick showed up. At first, he was charming, too charming. I still remember the first night he came over for dinner. He brought flowers, cheap carnations from the grocery store, but my mom acted like he'd brought her diamonds. He sat at our table, smiling wide, telling jokes, talking about his HVAC business. When he shook my hand at the end of the night, his grip was too tight. His eyes lingered too long on me before he finally let go. Something in me recoiled. But my mom, she glowed like she'd finally found salvation. They married within a year, and for a while, it looked like things were good. We had a newer car. We went out for dinners, vacations at the lake. My mom was happier than I'd seen her in years, but I knew better, because when the neighbors weren't watching, Rick's mask slipped. It started small. A sharp word. A heavy sigh. One night, I forgot to load the dishwasher. Rick leaned in close, his voice slow and deliberate, almost like he wanted to savor every syllable. Do you think this house runs itself, Mia? Do you think your mother and I work ourselves sick just so you can sit around and leave dishes piled up? God, you're useless. You can't even handle the simplest task. Trash, that's all you are. Nothing but trash cluttering up my house. I remember stammering, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I'll do it right now. He smirked, satisfied, and leaned back in his chair. Of course you will. Because if you can't even do that, you're proving me right. And I'm already right, aren't I, Mia? I froze, nodded quickly, and scrubbed those dishes with trembling hands until my skin was raw. It became a pattern. Any small mistake turned into a lecture-long, cruel monologues about how worthless I was, how no one would ever want me, how even my real father had walked away because I was such a disappointment, and my mother. She stood by silently when I finally worked up the courage to whisper, Mom, he scares me. Please, can't you see what he's doing? She sighed, patted my hand, and whispered back, Sweetheart, you just don't understand him. Rick has had a hard life. He gets angry sometimes, but deep down, he loves us. Be patient with him, Mia. Please, don't make things harder than they already are. Patient. She wanted me to be patient with a man who was already destroying me from the inside out. For months, I lived in silence. At school, I forced smiles. I laughed with friends. I pretended everything was fine, but at home, I was a ghost. I stopped inviting friends over, stopped dreaming of leaving town, stopped believing I was worth more than his insults. At night, I lay awake, replaying his words until they carved themselves into my skin. Trash, 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 until that night in the blue dress. The night he didn't just use the word. The night he struck me, leaving no room for doubt about what I meant to him. I thought I would break, that I would disappear into silence exactly the way he wanted, but instead, something inside me shifted. A seed, small, silent, dangerous, because while Rick thought I was too weak to fight back, I had already started collecting the pieces that would one day destroy him, and he had no idea. After that night in the blue dress, things didn't just go back to normal. They got worse. Rick had seen the fear in my eyes, and he thrived on it. Cruel men like him always do. He realized just how much power he had over me. One evening, I came home late from my shift at the diner. My shoes were soaked from the rain, my hair clinging to my face. I stepped inside, careful not to make noise, but he was waiting. Again, Rick sat in the recliner, a half-empty bottle of whiskey at his side, the TV buzzing with static in the background. He didn't yell right away. He let the silence stretch, thick and unbearable, until I finally whispered, I had to cover an extra table tonight. That's why I'm late. He laughed, a long, ugly sound that made my stomach twist. An extra table? Do you hear yourself? You come waltzing in here at midnight, smelling like fries and grease, looking like a drowned rat. And you expect me to believe you were working? You're not fooling me, Mia. I know what girls like you do when they're out this late. I froze, my throat tightening. That's not true. I swear, I was only working. He shot up from the chair so fast I flinched. Rick stepped close, towering over me, his breath heavy with liquor. Don't lie to me, trash. You think you can play innocent? You think I don't see how you look at people? The truth is, you're just like your mother, desperate, pathetic, clinging to whatever scraps of attention you can get, and one day, you'll end up exactly where she belongs, under a man's boot, begging for mercy. I tried to step back, but his hand shot out and grabbed my wrist. His grip was like iron, squeezing until I gasped. Do you hear me? He snarled. You are nothing, and without me, you'd be rotting on the street. I choked out. Please, let go. You're hurting me. Rick leaned in closer, his voice low and venomous. Good. Maybe pain will teach you respect. Because clearly words don't work on garbage like you. And then he shoved me backward. I stumbled, hit the edge of the kitchen counter, and crumpled to the floor. My mother rushed in at the sound. For a moment, I thought she would finally see, finally understand, but instead, she gasped, grabbed Rick's arm, and whispered frantically, Rick, please, not tonight. The neighbors will hear. Please, let it go. Let it go. Not are you okay, Mia? Not don't you dare touch my daughter again. No. She begged him to stop for his own sake, for the neighbors, for appearances. Rick smirked, let out a mocking sigh, and finally released me. You're lucky your mother's here, Mia. Otherwise, you'd be picking your teeth off the floor right now. He turned back toward the living room, muttering, pathetic little trash. Always will be. My mother knelt beside me, her hands trembling. Sweetheart, please. Don't make him angrier. You don't understand. He provides for us. We need him. Just keep your head down. Do what he says. I stared at her, tears streaming down my cheeks. My voice cracked as I whispered, You're supposed to protect me. You're my mother. She flinched, looked away, and in that silence, something between us shattered. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, the words replaying in my head over and over. Trash. Nothing. Pathetic. But as the minutes ticked by, something else began to surface beneath the shame. A thought. A seed. If Rick was so sure I was nothing, why did he work so hard to keep me small? Why did he need to crush me every chance he got? The answer came slowly, but when it did, it burned, because deep down, Rick knew the truth. I wasn't trash. I was dangerous. The next morning, I looked in the mirror. A faint bruise ringed my wrist where he'd grabbed me. My cheek still throbbed from the slap days earlier. I pulled out my phone. My hands shook as I raised it, snapped a photo, then another. The flash was harsh, unflattering, but it didn't matter. I whispered to myself, keep everything. Don't let it disappear. For the first time, I wasn't just a victim. I was a witness, and I would make sure the world saw what he really was. That night, as I slipped into bed, my phone hidden under my pillow with the photo saved, I heard Rick's heavy footsteps in the hall. He paused outside my door. I held my breath, frozen, waiting, and then his voice slithered through the wood, low and sharp. I know what you're up to, Mia. Don't think I can't see it. Whatever you're planning, it won't save you, because no one will ever believe. Trash like you. The floor creaked as he walked away, and in the darkness, clutching my phone like a lifeline, I whispered to myself, You're wrong, Rick. One day, they'll believe everything. The bruise on my wrist faded slowly, but the memory didn't. Every time I saw it in the mirror, I heard his voice again. Trash. Pathetic. Nothing. But I also remembered the photos, tucked safely into a hidden folder on my phone. The first piece of evidence. It wasn't enough. Not yet. But it was a start. A week later, the storm came, literally. A thunderstorm rolled through Tulsa, shaking the windows and rattling the roof. The power flickered, the lights went dark. I was in my room, trying to finish an essay by candlelight, when the door slammed open so hard the frame cracked. Rick stood there, soaked from the rain, mud clinging to his boots. His face was red, his eyes wild from whiskey and rage. "This house is a mess," he growled, slamming the door behind him. "I come home after working all day, and what do I find? Plates in the sink, laundry piled up, lights flickering like we live in a shack. What the hell do you even do here, Mia?" I swallowed, my voice soft but steady. I just cleaned. The power went out because of the storm." "It's not," he cut me off, stepping closer, his voice rising with every word. "Don't you dare talk back to me. I bust my back keeping a roof over your head, and you think you get to make excuses? You think you're entitled to sit in here, scribbling in that notebook, while I carry the weight of this family? You're nothing. Do you hear me? Nothing. And one day, even your mother will see it." My hands clenched on the edge of my desk. I wanted to scream back, to tell him he was wrong, but instead, I whispered, "I do my part. I work. I study. You don't see it." Rick's laugh was cruel, jagged, echoing through the storm. "Work? At that greasy diner? Study? For what? So you can end up teaching brats for pennies, just like every other loser who couldn't make something of themselves. Don't lie to yourself, Mia. You'll never be anything. You'll never be more than trash. You'll always need someone like me to keep you from drowning." And then he grabbed my notebook, the one I used for essays, the one I also used for notes about him, times, dates, words he'd used. My secret diary of his abuse. "What's this?" he demanded, flipping through the pages. His eyes scanned, his brow furrowed. "You writing stories about me now? What is this crap?" My blood ran cold. I lunged forward, desperate, my voice breaking. "It's just homework. Just practice writing. Please give it back." Rick smirked, holding it just out of reach. "Homework, huh? Looks more like a list, like you're trying to keep score. You think you can keep score on me, Mia? You think anyone would believe your pathetic little scribbles? No one cares. No one will ever care. Because when it comes down to it, it's your word against mine. And your word is worthless," I whispered, trembling. "Please, I'll do whatever you want. Just don't take that." He leaned in, his breath hot with whiskey. "Whatever I want, huh? That's exactly right. You'll do whatever I say. And if you don't, well, let's just say your little secrets won't matter when you're out on the street. Because don't forget, this is my house, my rules. And your mother? She's mine too. She won't save you. She never will." For a second, I thought he'd rip the pages out, expose everything. But instead, he tossed the notebook onto my desk with a sneer. "Pathetic. Even your handwriting looks weak." He stormed out, leaving muddy footprints on my floor, the storm outside swallowing his footsteps. I sat frozen, clutching the notebook like it was my heartbeat. Minutes later, my mom appeared at the door. Her voice was shaky, her eyes darting nervously. Down the hall to where Rick had gone. "Mia, what happened?" I heard shouting. I stared at her, my throat tight. "He found my notebook. He knows I've been keeping track. Mom, please, you have to see it now. He's hurting me. He's breaking me." She stepped inside, closed the door quietly, and whispered, "Sweetheart, listen to me. You don't understand how hard things are for him. He works so much. He carries so much stress. Sometimes it comes out wrong. But you can't keep provoking him like this. Writing things down, keeping secrets, it'll only make him angrier. Please, Mia, for your own sake, stop before you make it worse. My voice cracked. Make it worse? Mom, he hit me. He calls me trash every single day. You're telling me that's my fault. Her eyes welled with tears, but she looked away. I'm telling you, he loves us in his own way. And if you just endure it, if you're patient, it'll get better. I shook my head, clutching the notebook tighter. No, it won't. It never will. She pressed her lips together, whispered, Don't say that. Please, don't make me choose between you and him. Choose. As if there was even a choice to be made. That night, I sat in the dark, phone in my hand, notebook clutched against my chest. The photos weren't enough. The bruises faded. The notes could be dismissed, but his voice was undeniable. So I opened my phone's recorder, slid it under my pillow, and waited. It didn't take long. Around midnight, the door creaked open again. Heavy footsteps crossed the room. Rick's voice slithered out of the dark. You think you're smart, don't you, Mia? Scribbling in that notebook, snapping little pictures when you think I'm not looking. You're not smart. You're pathetic. And if you ever try to use any of that against me, I'll make sure you regret it. Because no one will ever believe you. You're trash. Always have been, always will be. I lay still, heart pounding, pretending to be asleep. But the recorder caught every word. When he finally left, I reached under my pillow, stopped the recording, and stared at the glowing screen. Proof. For the first time, I had his voice. The next morning, I transferred the file to a hidden folder, renamed it, and backed it up to a cloud account he would never find. But as I walked into the kitchen, Rick was already there. He looked at me long, too long. His eyes narrowed, his mouth curling into a smirk. Sleep well, trash? He asked, his tone casual, but his eyes sharp as knives. I forced a weak smile, nodded, and then he leaned closer, his voice low so only I could hear. Careful what you keep under your pillow, Mia. Secrets have a way of slipping out. My stomach turned cold. Did he know? Had he seen? As his laughter filled the kitchen, I realized something terrifying. The closer I got to exposing him, the closer he was getting to uncovering me. The recording burned in my pocket like a live wire. I played it over and over when I was alone, just to remind myself it was real, that I wasn't crazy, that his voice, his cruelty, existed outside my own memory. But the closer I held onto that secret, the sharper Rick's eyes became. It happened one Sunday. My mom had insisted on making a big dinner: roast chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans. She wanted normal. She always wanted normal. Rick sat at the head of the table, beer in hand, smirking like a king surveying his kingdom. My mom fluttered around, anxious, filling his plate before he even asked. Halfway through the meal, he set down his fork and looked straight at me. His smile was sharp, dangerous. So, Mia, you keeping busy lately? Scribbling in that little notebook? Taking your pictures? The fork nearly slipped from my hand. My heart froze. I whispered, It's just homework, just schoolwork. Rick leaned back in his chair, laughing softly. Homework, huh? That's what you said last time. You think I don't notice when things disappear? A bruise that's suddenly photographed. A phone that's suddenly hidden under your pillow. Do you think I'm stupid? I swallowed hard, my voice trembling. I don't know what you're talking about. He slammed his hand down on the table so hard the glasses rattled. Don't lie to me, he roared. You think you can make me look like some kind of monster? No one will believe you, Mia. Not the cops, not your teachers, not the neighbors. You're nothing but a pathetic little girl playing games she can't win. My mom rushed to his side, gripping his arm. Her voice shook, desperate. Rick, please. Not at the table. Not tonight. She's just a kid. Please, let's eat in peace. He yanked his arm away, glaring at me. A kid? She's nearly grown, Diane, and still worthless, still trash. And the sooner she accepts that, the better. You think this world is going to be kind to her? You think anyone out there will treat her better than I do? Ha! The second she leaves this house, she'll see how useless she really is. I sat there, shaking, tears stinging my eyes, but inside, something hardened. Because he was wrong. The world out there might be cruel, but I knew one thing for sure. It couldn't be worse than him. The next morning at college, I walked into English class with my hoodie pulled low, hiding the fresh bruise on my arm, but Miss Parker saw. She always saw. After class, she touched my sleeve gently. Her voice was soft but steady. Mia, can you stay a moment? I froze, nodded. When the room was empty, she pulled a chair closer, sat down across from me. Her eyes were kind but sharp, the kind that missed nothing. You're a bright girl, she said softly. One of the best writers I've seen in years. But you've been distracted, tired, and now, she glanced at my arm. You're hurt. I swallowed, my throat tight. I'm fine. Just clumsy. I fell. She didn't believe me. I saw it in her eyes. Mia, she whispered, if something's happening at home, you don't have to carry it alone. There are people who will listen, people who will believe you. Tears stung my eyes, but I shook my head quickly. No one would believe me. Not against him. Her voice trembled now. Mia, I've seen this before. Too many times. You don't have to say anything today, but when you're ready. My door is open. I nodded, unable to speak, and slipped out of the classroom. But her words clung to me like a lifeline. That evening, as I walked home, our neighbor Mr. Harris was in his yard, watering plants. He was old, kind, always waved when I passed. He paused, squinted, and said quietly, Mia, you all right, kiddo? You look tired. And I couldn't help but notice some shouting last night. Everything okay in there? I froze, forcing a smile. Yeah, just family stuff. Nothing serious. He frowned, studied my face, but didn't press. Well, if you ever need anything, you know where to find me. For the first time, I realized people were noticing. The cracks in Rick's mask weren't just visible to me anymore. That night, I decided the photos and one recording weren't enough. I needed more. So I waited, sat in the living room, homework spread out, pretending to be busy. Sure enough, Rick came in, beer in hand, smirk plastered on his face. He leaned over the back of the couch, his voice dripping with mockery. Look at you, playing student, acting like you'll ever amount to anything. You think books are gonna save you? You think some degree is going to make you less pathetic? You'll always come crawling back here, Mia. Always. I let him talk. Let him spit his poison. My phone was recording every word from the pocket of my hoodie. When he finally walked away, I exhaled, my heart pounding. I stopped the recording, saved it, backed it up immediately. Now I had two. Proof was stacking up. But that night, as I crept toward my room, phone clutched tight, I felt at his eyes, Rick was standing in the hallway, half in shadow, watching me. He didn't speak at first, just smiled, slow and sinister. Then he whispered, almost playful, "Careful, Mia. Rats who snoop around in the dark usually end up in traps. And you're just a little rat in my house." He stepped past me, brushing my shoulder, laughter echoing down the hall. I froze, every muscle trembling, because it was no longer just about his rage. He was starting to suspect, and if he uncovered what I was really doing, I wasn't sure I'd survive it. The second recording stayed hidden in 3 different places, one copy in my cloud. One is buried under random files on an old flash drive, and one tucked deep inside a showbox in the back of my closet, wrapped in old scarves. But even with those precautions, I never felt safe, because every time Rick looked at me now, his eyes carried suspicion, like he could smell the secrets on my skin. It was a Tuesday night. I was washing dishes after dinner, trying to stay invisible. My mom was upstairs folding laundry. Rick was pacing the kitchen, restless, his beer bottle clinking against the counter. He watched me scrub a plate, then sneered, "Look at you, bent over the sink like some servant. That's all you'll ever be good for, Mia. Dishes, floors, nothing important. You're not smart. You're not special. You're just trash someone forgot to throw away." My hands shook, soap and water slipping between my fingers. I whispered, "Please, Rick, just stop. Please." He slammed the bottle onto the counter, glass shattering across the tiles. "Stop? You don't tell me to stop. You don't tell me anything. You think you're clever, sneaking around with your little secrets. I see it in your face. You're hiding something. You think you can make me look bad? You think you can expose me?" I froze, my pulse hammering. I don't know what you're talking about." Rick stepped closer, shards crunching under his boots. His voice dropped low, deliberate, each word like a strike. "Don't lie to me, Mia. If I ever catch you trying to play games with me, if I ever find proof, you'll regret the day you were born." His hand shot out, gripping my jaw, forcing me to look at him. "Say it. Say you're worthless." Tears blurred my vision. My voice cracked. "I'm worthless." He smirked, released me, and whispered, "Good girl. Don't forget it." That night, after Rick passed out on the couch, I crept upstairs to my mom's room. She sat at her vanity, brushing her hair. The reflection in the mirror showed her face pale, drawn, eyes rimmed red. I whispered, "Mom, please, he's getting worse. He smashed a bottle tonight." He grabbed me again. "If you don't stop him, one day he's going to." Her brush froze mid-stroke. Her voice trembled, sharp, defensive. "Mia, enough. You think I don't know he has a temper? You think I don't see it? But what do you want me to do? Leave him? Throw everything away? Do you know how hard it is to survive alone? To pay bills? To keep a roof over our heads?" I shook my head, desperate. "I don't care about the roof. I care about you, about me. He's killing us, Mom. Every word, every bruise, it's killing me." Her eyes filled with tears, but she looked away, whispered, "Sometimes survival means enduring things we don't like. Please, Mia, just keep your head down. It's the only way." Her words sliced deeper than Rick's fists ever could, because my mother wasn't blind. She wasn't ignorant. She was choosing him over me. 2 days later, after class, Miss Parker pulled me aside again. Her voice was soft but urgent. "Mia, I need you to be honest with me. This isn't just clumsiness. You're hurting. I can see it. And I know what it looks like, because I've Seen it before, I swallowed, my voice trembling. If I told you, you wouldn't believe me. No one ever does. She leaned forward, eyes fierce. Try me. Something inside me cracked. Tears spilled before I could stop them. He calls me trash. Every day. He hits me when mom isn't looking. He makes me feel like I don't exist. And mom just tells me to be patient, to keep my head down. But I can't anymore. I can't. Her hand closed gently over mine, steady, warm. Mia, I believe you. I believe every word. And you don't have to go through this alone. But if you want help, you have to let me report it to the authorities, to Child Protective Services. They can protect you. Panic surged through me. I yanked my hand back, shaking my head. No, if he finds out, if he knows I told anyone, he'll kill me. You don't understand. He'll kill me. Her eyes softened with sorrow. Then promise me you'll keep coming to me. Promise me you won't carry this in silence anymore. I nodded, whispering, I promise. But deep down, I knew promises meant little. When you lived in Rick Dalton's house, that night as I walked home, Mr. Harris, our neighbor, stopped me again. He lowered his voice, glanced at the house, and said, I heard shouting again last night. A bottle breaking. Look, kid, I don't want to pry, but I've lived long enough to know what's happening in there. And if you ever need me to call someone or if you need somewhere safe, you knock on my door. Do you understand? I swallowed hard, whispering, Thank you. I'll remember that. His eyes were kind but serious. Don't wait too long, Mia. Sometimes waiting can be deadly. Later that week, another storm rolled in. Rick was drunk, furious, pacing the kitchen. I had my phone hidden in my hoodie pocket again, recording. He pointed a finger at me, shouting, You think you're clever? Walking around with your little smirks, like you know something I don't. Let me tell you something, Mia, you know nothing. Without me, you'd starve. Without me, your mother would rot in some dump. And don't think anyone out there cares about you. You're worthless. Say it again. Say it. I whispered, trembling. I'm worthless. He grinned, satisfied. Good. At least you can admit it. When he finally stormed off, I stopped the recording. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped the phone. 3 recordings, photos, notes. The box under my bed was growing heavier. But that night, as I hid the flash drive under the showbox, I heard it, Rick's footsteps. In the hall, they stopped outside my door. The doorknob rattled, then his voice slithered through, low and mocking. What are you hiding in there, Mia? Secrets? Maybe I should take a look. After all, this is my house, and everything in it belongs to me. The knob twisted slowly, the door creaking open an inch. I froze, clutching the showbox, my heart hammering so loud I thought he could hear it, because if he stepped inside and saw what I was hiding, everything would end. The doorknob creaked under his hand. I froze, clutching the showbox under my bed like it was my heartbeat. The door pushed open an inch more. Rick's face appeared in the crack, his smile sharp, mocking. What are you hiding, Mia? He whispered, drawing the words out slow, deliberate. Come on, let me in. Let's see what secrets you keep in here, I forced my voice steady, though it shook. There's nothing in here, just homework, just clothes. He chuckled, stepping fully inside now, shutting the door behind him. Homework, clothes. Funny, you always look so nervous when I come in. Like a little rat guarding her crumbs, his boots thudded against the carpet as he walked around the room. his eyes scanning every corner. I sat frozen on the bed, showbox pressed tight against my leg under the blanket. Rick opened my closet, rummaged through the hangers, tossing clothes onto the floor. Pathetic, he muttered. Nothing but rags. Just like you. He pulled open drawers, scattering socks, flipping through notebooks. Then he turned to me, eyes narrowing. What are you hiding under there? He asked, nodding toward the bed. My heart stopped. Nothing, I whispered. Just storage. Old shoes. Rick smirked, crouching down, starting to lift the blanket. Panic surged. I jumped up, blurting out too fast. Stop. Don't touch my things. His eyes lit with cruel amusement. Ah, there it is. The panic. So you are hiding something. What is it, Mia? Love letters? Trashy magazines? Or maybe little notes about me? He reached further, his hand brushing against the edge of the showbox. I kicked it backward with my foot, forcing a laugh, desperate. It's nothing. Just old school stuff. Embarrassing. Please. Rick paused, his face inches from mine now. His voice dropped to a low hiss. You know, I could drag it out right now. Rip it open, and whatever's inside, it wouldn't matter, because no one would ever believe you. Do you understand? No one. They'll believe me. They always do, I whispered, tears stinging my eyes. Why? Why do you hate me so much? He leaned closer, his smile cruel. Because you remind me of everything weak in this world, and I don't tolerate weakness. He stood, brushing off his hands, and walked out slowly, leaving the door wide open. But his final words, tossed casually over his shoulder, froze my blood. One day, Mia, I'll find what you're hiding, and when I do, you'll wish you were never born. That night, after Rick passed out drunk, I went to my mom. She was in her room again, folding clothes with shaking hands. Mom, I whispered, my voice breaking, he's looking for my things. He's searching my room. If he finds what I've collected, if he finds my proof, he'll kill me. I know he will. Please, please help me. Her face crumpled. For a moment, I thought she might finally break. Mia, she whispered, why are you making it worse? Why can't you just let things go? You think saving these notes, these pictures, is going to help you? All it's going to do is make him angrier. Please, sweetheart, if you care about us, stop. I stared at her, my heart shattering. If I care about us? Mom, he's destroying us. Every bruise, every word, it's tearing me apart, and you just let it happen. Her tears fell silently, but she said nothing. Silence was her answer. Silence was always her answer. The next day at school, Miss Parker pulled me aside again. This time, she didn't ask. She told me, Mia, I filed a report. My breath caught. What? Her voice was calm, steady. I saw enough. I heard enough. I can't stand by and watch you waste away under someone else's cruelty. I called Child Protective Services. They'll be reaching out. Panic surged. No, you don't understand. If he finds out, he'll know it was me. He'll kill me, Miss Parker. He'll kill me. She leaned forward, her eyes fierce but kind. Then let him try. Because now, Mia, you're not alone. There are eyes on him. There are ears listening. He won't be able to hide forever. Tears burned down my cheeks. For the first time, someone had stepped into the fire with me, but fear gnawed at me still. Because if Rick suspected, the storm inside my house would become unbearable. That evening, as I walked up the driveway, Mr. Harris waved me over. He glanced around, lowered his voice. Mia, listen. A woman came by this afternoon. Said she was from CPS. She asked about your family. Asked if I'd noticed anything. I told her the truth that I've heard shouting, breaking glass, threats. She took notes. My chest tightened. You told them? He nodded firmly. Yes, because if I stayed quiet, one day I'd regret it. And I don't want to regret not helping you, kiddo. Remember, you're not invisible. People see you. People care. For the first time, my hands stopped shaking. Proof was stacking up. Witnesses were noticing, but when I stepped inside the house that night, Rick was waiting in the living room. His face was calm, too calm. His beer sat untouched on the table. Funny thing, he said slowly, his eyes fixed on me. Some lady stopped by today, said she was from some agency, asking questions, poking around. He leaned forward, his voice sharp, dangerous. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you, Mia? My blood turned to ice, because this time, it wasn't suspicion in his eyes. It was certainty, and I realized Rick wasn't just guessing anymore. He knew. Rick's words hung in the air like smoke. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you, Mia? His voice was calm, too calm, and that was more terrifying than when he screamed. I tried to steady my voice. I don't know what you mean. I didn't talk to anyone, Rick chuckled, slow, dark. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. See, here's the thing, trash. Ladies from agencies don't just show up at doors for no reason. Someone invited them. Someone whispered in their ear. And I don't have to guess who that someone is. He stood, looming over me. It's you, isn't it? You little rat, running around behind my back, collecting things, talking to people. Do you think I'm blind? My hands shook at my sides. I whispered, you're wrong. You're paranoid. Nobody cares enough to come here. Nobody listens to me. His smile widened wolfish. Oh, they might listen for a moment, but the truth, nobody believes trash for long. You think some nosy teacher or old neighbor is going to save you. They'll forget you by tomorrow. But me? I'll still be here, and I'll make sure you remember. Who owns this house? He shoved the coffee table aside with a crash, glass shattering from a picture frame. You want to play games, Mia? Fine, let's play. Where are you hiding it? The files, the pictures, the recordings. Where are they? I froze, every muscle locked. I don't have anything. Rick's voice roared, filling the room. Liar. You think I didn't hear you clicking around on that damn phone? You think I didn't notice you flinch every time I get close? You're hiding something, and I'm going to tear this place apart until I find it. He stormed toward the hallway. I ran after him, panic surging. Stop, please, there's nothing to find. But he didn't stop. He threw open my bedroom door, ripping open drawers, overturning the mattress, scattering clothes and books across the floor. My showbox.it slid halfway out from under the bed. Rick crouched, his hand reaching. My breath caught, my body numb with terror. But before he could grab it, my mom appeared in the doorway, voice high, panicked. Rick, stop, please, you're scaring her. He turned, snarling, scaring her? She's been plotting against me. She's hiding something, Diane, and you're too blind to see it. Do you even know what kind of little snake you raised? Mom's hands shook, tears in her eyes. She's just a girl. Please don't do this. For one fragile moment, his focus shifted from me to her. I seized it. I kicked the showbox further under the bed with all my strength, praying he hadn't noticed. Rick's eyes snapped back to me. He pointed a finger, his face twisted with rage. This isn't over. I'll find it. And when I do, you're done. He stormed out, his boots pounding down the hall, leaving me trembling in the wreckage of my room. That night, I knew the box couldn't stay here anymore. If Rick searched again, he'd find it. And then I'd have nothing. So I waited until the house was asleep. My mom's soft weeping through her door. Rick's snores rumbling from the couch. I slipped the flash drive into my pocket, the one with copies of the photos and recordings. Then, heart pounding, I slipped out the back door and ran across the street. Mr. Harris answered after 2 knocks, robe tied around his waist, concern etched in his face. Mia, what are you doing here at this hour? You look terrified. I held out the flash drive with shaking hands. My voice cracked. Please, keep this safe. Don't ask questions. If anything happens to me, give it to the police. Promise me. He blinked, startled, but nodded slowly. Of course, kiddo. You have my word. Tears filled my eyes. I whispered, thank you. Then I slipped back into the night, praying Rick wouldn't notice I'd been gone. At breakfast, Rick sat at the table, calm again. Too calm, he sipped his coffee, eyes fixed on me like a hunter watching prey. Sleep well, Mia? He asked casually. I forced a nod, murmuring, fine. He smirked, leaned back in his chair. Good. Because I had the strangest dream last night. In it, a little rat was sneaking out of my house, scurrying across the street, handing something to the old man next door. Funny, huh? My spoon froze mid-air. My blood turned cold. His smile widened. Be careful where you scurry, Mia. Rats don't last long in traps. My hands trembled as I stared at him. He knew. Somehow he knew, and if Rick was already picturing traps, it was only a matter of time before one of us fell into one. The next few days felt like walking on glass. Rick didn't shout. He didn't hit. He just watched everywhere I went. His eyes followed. At dinner, in the hallway, even in the living room, when I pretended to read, I felt the weight of his stare. It was worse than his rage, because silence meant planning. One night, the storm rolled in again, rain lashing the windows, thunder shaking the walls. I sat at the kitchen table, trying to finish a paper. My mom was upstairs, sick in bed with a migraine. Rick paced the kitchen like a predator, circling. Finally, he stopped behind me. His voice slid down my spine like a blade. Funny thing about rats, Mia. They think they can outsmart the man who sets the traps. But in the end, they always get caught. I froze, my pen clattering onto the paper. I don't know what you're talking about, I whispered. He laughed, cruel, low. Don't play dumb. You think I didn't see you sneaking out the other night? You think I don't know you've been squirreling away little files, little recordings? You really believe anyone would care about your pathetic stories? I turned slowly, heart hammering. If you touch me again, if you hurt me, they'll know. People are watching now. Rick leaned close, his face inches from mine. I could smell the alcohol on his breath. People watching? Ha! You mean that wrinkled neighbor? That nosy teacher? They'll forget about you in a week. But me? I'll still be here. And you? You'll still be nothing. Then it happened. He grabbed my arm, yanking me out of the chair so hard it toppled backward. I stumbled, gasping, trying to wrench free. Stop. Please. Let go. I cried, my voice breaking, but his grip only tightened. You think you can ruin me? Huh? You think you can humiliate me in front of this whole town? I'll end you before I let that happen. Tears burned my eyes. You're drunk, you don't know what you're saying. His laugh was sharp, jagged. I know exactly what I'm saying. And one day, when you're gone, no one will even remember you existed. He shoved me against the wall, his face inches from mine, his voice a hiss. Say it. Say you're nothing without me. I shook my head, choking on tears. No, I'm not nothing. Not anymore. For the first time, I saw the flicker of fear in his eyes. Because I said it with conviction, and then the pounding at the door, loud, relentless. Rick froze, his hand, still gripping my wrist, open up. Tulsa police. My heart stopped. The pounding came again. We've had a report of a disturbance. Open the door now. Rick's face twisted with fury. He hissed into my ear. You called them. You brought them here. I shook my head desperately. I didn't, I swear I didn't, but I knew. Mr. Harris, or maybe Miss Parker, someone had called. Someone had heard. Rick let go of my wrist, his breath coming fast, panicked. Say a word, he snarled, and I'll bury you. He stormed toward the door, yanking it open. 2 officers stood in the rain, flashlights cutting through the storm. Evening, one said firmly, we've had complaints of shouting, glass breaking, possible assault. Everything all right here? Rick, plastered on his fake smile, his voice smooth, rehearsed. Officers, everything's fine. Just a little family argument. You know how teenagers are. Loud, emotional, but nothing serious. One officer glanced past him. His light fell on me, my swollen wrist, my tear-streaked face. Miss, the officer said gently. Is that true? My throat closed. Words caught like thorns. Rick's eyes burned into me. Silent warning. Say nothing, or else. My lips parted. Nothing came out. Miss, the officer pressed, his tone careful. Do you feel safe in this home? Tears welled, blurring the light. I wanted to scream. No, I'm not safe. He's killing me. But all that came out was a whisper. I'm fine. The officer's eyes lingered on me. He didn't believe it, but he nodded slowly. All right, but if anything happens, you call us. Immediately, Rick smiled, thanked them, shut the door, then he turned. He stepped toward me, slow, deliberate. His voice was low, dangerous. Do you know what you just did? You almost ruined everything. If you ever breathe one word to them, I swear, Mia, I'll make sure you regret it until your last day on earth. I backed away, trembling, but inside, something shifted because I realized even though I couldn't speak tonight, someone else had spoken for me. The world outside was listening. The walls of this house weren't silent anymore, and Rick, for the first time, he looked shaken. That night, lying awake in my bed, I stared at the ceiling, replaying the officer's words. Do you feel safe in this home? I hadn't been able to answer then, but I knew my answer now, and soon. So would everyone else. The night after the cops left, I couldn't breathe. Rick's words kept replaying in my head. If you ever breathe one word to them, I'll make sure you regret it until your last day on earth. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, my wrist throbbing, heart racing. I knew one thing for certain. Staying silent would kill me. So the next morning, I made my decision. At school, I slipped into Miss Parker's office before first period. My hands shook as I pulled the flash drive from my pocket. I can't keep this anymore, I whispered. If he finds it, I'm dead. But you'll know what to do. her brows furrowed. Mia, what is this? Proof, I said, my voice breaking. Recordings, photos, everything. Please just keep it safe. Use it. If something happens to me, Miss. Parker opened her laptop, inserted the drive. Her face paled as Rick's voice spilled from the speakers. You're worthless. Say it again. Say it. Without me, you'd starve. You're nothing. Trash. Then the photo of my bruised wrist filled the screen. She gasped, pressing her hand to her mouth. Oh my God. Mia, tears stung my eyes. Now do you believe me? Her voice trembled, but it was fierce. I always believed you. But this is undeniable. I'm contacting CPS right now. And the police. This time, he won't be able to smile his way out of it. That evening, when I walked home, 2 CPS workers were parked outside in an unmarked sedan. Rick was already at the door, his smile plastic, his arm around my mom like nothing was wrong. Come in, he said smoothly. I'm sure this is all just a misunderstanding. Kids exaggerate. Emotions run high. You know how it is. One of the workers, a woman with sharp eyes, ignored him and looked straight at me. Mia, can we speak with you privately? Rick's jaw tightened. He forced a laugh. Of course, but really, I don't see the need, Mr. Dalton. She cut in firmly. Step aside. For the first time, I saw the crack in his mask in front of strangers. He obeyed, but his glare seared into me. Upstairs, the CPS worker sat across from me on my bed. Her voice was calm, steady. Mia, you don't have to be afraid anymore. We've already heard reports. We've seen things that don't add up. But what we need is your voice. Tell us what's been happening here. My throat tightened. Tears blurred my vision. He calls me trash every day. He hits me when he's drunk, sometimes when he's not. He says no one will ever believe me. And my mom, she just tells me to keep my head down. To survive, the words spilled out in a rush. Years of silence shattering in seconds. The workers' eyes softened, but her tone sharpened. Do you have any proof? I wiped my face, nodded. Yes, my teacher has it. Recordings, photos, everything. Her expression hardened with resolve. Then, Mia, listen carefully. Tonight, we're filing a petition for emergency removal. You will not stay in this house much longer. Do you understand me? You're getting out. Downstairs, I heard raised voices. One of the CPS workers was confronting Rick. We have reason to believe there has been abuse in this home. Until the investigation is complete, you are under strict supervision. Any violation will be reported to law enforcement immediately. Rick's mask finally cracked. His voice thundered. This is my house, my rules. You think some little brat's lies are going to destroy me? Neighbors had stepped out onto their porches. Mr. Harris stood with folded arms, watching grimly, and, for the first time, Rick's rage wasn't locked behind walls. It was public. Everyone could see. My mom's voice cut through the chaos, trembling. Please, Rick, stop. Don't make it worse. But he wasn't listening. He never listened. He pointed up the stairs, his face red, spit flying. She did this. That little snake. She's trying to ruin me, to humiliate me in front of everyone. For the first time, instead of shrinking back, I stepped into the hallway. My voice shook, but it carried. No, Rick, you did this. Every bruise, every word, every night you called me trash. It's all you. And now they know. Rick's face twisted with fury. his fists clenched at his sides. The CPS worker raised her hand calmly. Mr. Dalton, I suggest you sit down. Because if you touch her now, with all these witnesses, you won't be walking out of here free. Rick's eyes darted between me, the workers, the neighbors watching from outside, and for the first time, I saw it, not just rage, but fear, because the walls he built were crumbling, and soon there'd be nothing left to hide behind. The night CPS left, the house felt different. Not safe, not quiet, but different, because Rick knew the eyes of the world were finally on him. 2 days later, it happened. Rick stumbled in late, drunker than usual, his face red with fury. The police had been circling. CPS had returned for more interviews. His work buddies stopped calling, and now he wanted someone to blame. Me. He stormed into the kitchen where I was making tea. His voice was venom. You think you've won, don't you? You think you've ruined me? But let me tell you something. Mia, trash doesn't win. Trash gets taken out, I whispered, steady this time. You're not scaring me anymore. His eyes burned. He lunged forward, grabbing my arm hard enough to make me cry out. But before he could do more, the door burst open. 2 officers stormed in, followed by CPS workers. Rick Dalton stepped back, hands where we can see them. Rick froze, still gripping me. The officer barked, "Let her go." Now, for a moment, I thought he'd resist, thought he'd tighten his grip until bone snapped, but slowly, with rage twisting his face, he released me. The cold metal cuffs clicked around his wrists. "This is a mistake," he shouted. "She's lying. She's manipulating you all. I'm the victim here." But no one listened, because the flash drive was in the officer's hands now. The photos, the recordings, the neighbors' testimonies, and his mask was gone. Weeks later, I saw him in court. No beer in his hand, no smirk on his face, just an orange jumpsuit and hollow eyes. He tried to stare me down from the defense table, but it wasn't the same. The power was gone. When the recordings played, his voice echoing through the courtroom. "Say it again. Say it. You're worthless." The whole room shifted. Gasps, murmurs. For once, everyone else felt what I had felt all those nights. The judge's gavel slammed down. Guilty on all counts. Sentenced to 10 years in state prison. Rick's face crumpled, not with remorse, but with rage. He mouthed across the room, "This isn't over." But for me, it was. Outside the courtroom, my mom waited, her face pale, her hands trembling. "Mia," she whispered, "I'm so sorry. I should have protected you. I should have seen." I stopped her, my voice flat. "You saw. You just chose him." Her tears fell. She reached for me, but I stepped back, because forgiveness wasn't mine to give. Now, months later, the house is empty. The walls don't echo with shouting anymore. But silence doesn't mean peace. I walk past mirrors and sometimes still hear his voice. Trash, worthless. But then I remember the moment I stood in court, his words echoing back at him, not at me. And I realize he never defined me. He only revealed himself. To this day, people ask if I forgive him, if I forgive my mother, and the answer is simple: no. Forgiveness is for people who still carry love, and I don't carry love for them anymore. What I carry now is freedom, and maybe, just maybe, that's enough.